following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
On the West Coast, Karlifornia and Fury. What a joy, an honor, a privilege to be with you all once again. And speaking of a joy, honor, and privilege, right here, right now, I have a guest at this time that I never thought I'd get the chance to speak to. Not for any other reason other than just some people in the wrestling business that have been in the wrestling business, they can be hard to find, but I found him. I messaged him, and we hooked this up within a couple of days' time. Ladies and gentlemen, you may remember the No Limit Soldiers from WCW, and you may remember one of the most powerful members of that group is the one, is the only, is Swoll. How are you, sir?
Fine. How you doing today, my brother? How's everything going?
Everything's fantastic, my friend. I live in the most isolated city in the world, so where I live, it's finally an advantage to be in a pandemic. We don't have to wear masks. We don't have anything like that over here right now. So
all right, well, I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana. So hey, I'm in the boot. So look, the best thing to do is stay inside around here. If you don't get COVID, you get killed.
Sounds fun to me. Although over here, you can leave the house and there might be a snake down the road. You never know. But sir, thank you so much for being on the show with me.
Thank you.
You have had an incredible life from what my research tells me. And this is why I'm excited to learn about all this, because there's not many people then that can succeed in two different areas in life, and then even more so with what you've done after your football and wrestling career. But I've got to bring it back to when you're a young man, a very young man. How did you become a fan of professional wrestling?
Well, in New Orleans, wrestling was pretty big, and real big, because when I was a little boy, we had Mid-South with Mid-South Wrestling with Cowboy Bill Watts was the owner. And he used to always come to New Orleans, center. And I used to go check out, Big Cat Ernie Ladd, Ray Candy, Mr. Wrestler, Dusty Rose, Mr. Wrestler #2, Poach Out Cash, So I've always been a wrestling. And when I was a little boy, we had a 6th grade and career day. And I went to my career day and I told my classmate, my teachers, I want to be a professional football player and a professional wrestler. And everybody laughed at me. So, dang.
Well, I'm laughing because I know what the end result is.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Okay, so that's how you became a wrestling fan. Then I got to bring it over to football. I mean, I know football is a massive part of I guess the fabric of the United States. So it can't be too difficult to become a fan, but how did you become a fan of football?
Well, as a little boy, I suffered from mental issues. And my mom took me to see my psychiatrist when I was 6 years old. And the psychiatrist told my mom put me into sports. So my mom put me into boxing, karate, wrestling, and football, baseball. And I turned out to be a pretty good football player. I was fast. I was skinny, but I was strong. And, I became All-American in high school. I was one of the most recruited players, of my time. Went to the University of Houston, had, honors, and went on to play professional football. And so it was a journey, but it's something I really don't like talk. I talk about, but I really don't, because my NFL career was taboo to me because I had so many injuries.
I understand. I just think it's incredible because there are so many, not even just thousands, but millions of young men who want to be a football player over there. And, University of Houston, am I correct? Playing for the Houston Cougars.
Yes. Yeah.
Between 84 and 87, it's such a competitive field. In your estimation, how were you able to stand out to the scouts looking for young guys coming into the NFL?
Well, back when I played football, you can hit. Today, I wouldn't be allowed to play today football because I was so aggressive. The game today is more laid back. Not, they worry about people getting hurt, but I made a reputation of knocking people out. I was very aggressive, got into a lot of fights on the field, but that's the way I played the game. I played the game like that. Like I said, today, I wouldn't be able to play because I'd be kicked out of every game. And so I had a reputation of knocking people out. And when I played, it was me, Steve Atwater, and a guy by the name of Frankie Thomas from SMU. Steve Atwater, he's Hall of Fame. And we was the three top, safeties in our conference. So we used to always check each other out and see what we was doing. But today's game is very soft. This is like professional wrestling. I don't like professional wrestling anymore because it's now turned into gymnastics. I come from an era of, Stan Hansen, Big Cat, a lot of punches, a lot of throws. And when I try to imitate them, I got criticized. Oh, he doesn't know how to wrestle. Or he doesn't know how to wrestle. But that's the style I wanted to imitate. I want to imitate, the Stan Hansens and the Big Cats. I didn't want to do no flips off, no ropes. I didn't want to do no cartwheels and all that kind of stuff. It just wasn't my era, and that's not the way I think. And I got criticized for that.
I understand, but I totally understand because I prefer older wrestling as well, older professional wrestling as well. I would rather watch a BA Swoll tag team match than what's going on today. No doubt about it. And I watched a couple of those tag matches earlier in preparation. But who cares what any of those people think? You had the right thing in mind as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if you want to emulate Big Cat Ernie Ladd, I think you're on the right course there. I mean, look at him. He was a hell of an athlete. And speaking of being a hell of an athlete, only one more question about football with you. Your experience there in the NFL. I just want to know what a typical week would be like for somebody who was in the NFL.
Well, okay. You go to practice. We have Mondays off. Monday's always off. Tuesday, you get your game plan. You get what's called a report, and it tells about each player, and stuff like that. Who the guys you're going to be going against. You get the status report, what they do on 3rd and 5, 1st and 10, what they do in, empty backfield, all kind of reports. And you have to go you go to practice, you go to meetings, you eat lunch there. Then Tuesday, you go, Wednesday, you go through your, regular practice, hitting, tackling, you got your scout team and stuff like that. And Thursday, you do the same thing, but then you have special teams, your kickoff team and all that kind. You go through all those meetings. Then Friday, it's more of a, everything. This is what we're going to do. And when I played for the Denver Broncos, we had to take a test every Friday. And they give you, all these positions. And if you didn't take the test, you had to study and take it again. So a lot of people don't know, a lot of times you got to take tests when you play pro ball. I don't know if they do it now, but they didn't. We had it. And Saturday is a walkthrough, this walkthrough closed, and Sunday is game day. So it's pretty easy. College was harder.
I can imagine. Well, thank you for giving me some insight there, because most of my experience with American football is watching like a film like Remember the Titans, etc. Thank you for the insight. Okay, the early 90s, you seek out wrestling training. This is what my research tells me. If I'm wrong, please correct me. How did you come across one Brad Rangens, and what made you decide to take the step into professional wrestling?
Okay, getting back to Ernie Ladd. It was my third year in the professional football league, and I came home summer, and I was in this place called Frenchie's Fried Chicken in Houston, Texas, which is down the street from Texas Southern and University of Houston. And one day I'm in there eating, and this big old red guy walked in, and it was Ernie Ladd. And he said, "Boy, you pretty. You pretty. Oh my God, you pretty. Boy, stand up, let me take a look at you. You're fine, man." I'm like, okay, I know he was. I'm hey, Mr. Ernie Ladd, because he was coaching at TSU, you know. And so he said, "Look, when your career's over in football, call this number, and he'll get you into wrestling." And that's how I got hooked up with Brad Riggins, through Big Cat Ernie Ladd.
Amazing. It came full circle there. You got to meet the Big Cat right then and there. That's really cool. How was the experience training with Brad at that time?
It was crazy because, this is like 1990, 91. And, well, about 91, 92. And he had all the top talent because he had people, a regular day at school, we'd have the Road Warriors would come in there, the Road Warriors, the Demolition Team, Big Van Vader, oh my God, Ravishing Rick Rude, we had all these guys that come into the Steiners, the Nasty Boys, all these people train under Brad Riggins, and they will always come back, and I used to trip out because I couldn't believe I was training with Animal and Hulk, and Wayne Bloom, and all these guys, and it was the ending of the AWA. Matter of fact, a lot of people don't know, but I did the very last show for AWA, the very last show.
Wow, that actually answers a question that I had next, because I didn't understand why on May 3rd, 1991, you wrestled Frank Anderson for the AWA, and I was wondering why there weren't any further matches. Well, there you go. It was the last show.
It was the last show ever. AWA. Vern Gagne just stopped.
Did you know at the time that was going to be the last show?
No, because they had big plans for us. Because AWA was big time back then. Because that's where Hulk Hogan and all come from. AWA. Hogan, Curt Hennig, the Road Warriors, all these people come from AWA. And so they had, when I was told that, that was it, they sent me to Japan, and because Brad Riggins was the head booker for New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I wrestled an unknown guy by the name of Hashimoto, who became world famous. And so, it was a bit of, I liked it. It was okay,
Yeah, and I will talk about New Japan in a second. I was really interested to know what it was like wrestling Frank Anderson on that show. It's your debut, so after the crazy experience of training with all these big guys coming in, the Road Warriors, the Steiners, Vader, now you're wrestling Frank Anderson of all people in your first match. How was it? How was that experience?
Me and Frank Anderson were best friends. We were roommates. And he was also going to Brad Riggins school at the time. So we were best friends. We were roommates. And it was both our very first match. And we went over it 1,000 times. This we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. We were both so nervous, And for those who don't know Frank Anderson, he's very, he passed away a couple of years ago. He had heart surgery and didn't survive. So rest in peace to my brother. Frank Anderson is like the Hulk Hogan of Sweden. He went to the Olympics and won all kind of medals in Greco wrestling. He was a reality star, movie star over in Sweden, and we call him Frankie Boy. And Frank has to be the wildest man I've met in my life. He woke up drinking vodka, cold vodka every morning. and he would party all night and go work out and train. And I just don't know how he did it. You know, he was wild, seriously. And I miss my friend.
Absolutely, bro. May he rest in peace. I actually was not aware he passed away about 6 months ago when I was trying to do research to see if I could find him to interview him. And then I found out. So I was a bit sad to hear that he passed on. But thank you for sharing the story about him. You know, one of those names out there in professional wrestling that I think everyone needs to learn a little bit about, because he certainly was an interesting performer.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling because I want to know what this was all about. The first one was May 31st, 1991 in Osaka against Shinya Hashimoto in something called a different style fight. What did that consist of, and you know, how was it?
Well, my background is martial arts, and this was mixed martial arts before mixed martial arts. Let's be honest with you. I tell people this all the time. They think I'm crazy. I'm like, no, I did one of the very first mixed martial arts in wrestling, you know, in Japan. They're like, no, I wore gloves, and you know, and so that when they approached me about it, you know, Hashimoto, he wasn't big then, you know, and so I went to Japan for a couple of months and trained over there, and we did the match, and then I got a phone call. And I went back to Minnesota, and the promoters called and they told me, Randy, can you take an ass whipping for 45 minutes? I'm like, what? They say, like, you think you could take an ass whipping for 45 minutes? I said, what are you talking about? He said, we want you to wrestle Big Van Vader. And I said, well, what's the spots? They said, you have no spots. He's going to beat the dog shit out of you, you know? I said, why? He said, because you're big, you're strong, you're athletic, and we want to, you know, show people that Vader can beat someone, you know, with power. And I told him, I said, hey, man, you do know I'm from the hood, right? He said, yeah. I said, man, I can't do that, you know? I have a reputation. And so the guy told me, and never forget, he told me, if you don't wrestle Vader, you'll never work in Japan again. And I never worked in Japan again, you know? I wasn't going to let, you know, and people got to remember, everybody said, oh, you know, you wouldn't wrestle Vader. Vader was putting a lot of Japanese boys in the hospital. Seriously. He was so stiff, and he was hurting so many people, you know. That's why Stan Hansen knocked his damn eye out, because he was so stiff. And I got into wrestling business not to go into the hospital, you know, to have fun. And I talked to Leon, you know, and Leon said, Randy, I'm gonna beat the dog shit out of you. You know, I'm gonna hit you with chairs, and you know, I'm gonna jump on you. And I was like, no, I'd rather go back and play football. It wasn't that I was, you know, if they would have told me, look, you and Van Vader gonna go at it, no script, I'd have did it. You know, I'd have did it in a heartbeat. You know, because I know my martial arts skills. And but to go into a ring and let somebody try to put me in a hospital, no, it wasn't happening. No, I wasn't gonna do it. So, you know, my time in Japan was cut very short, but I really don't give a shit. Because like I said, I wasn't letting nobody hurt me.
No, fair enough. Without a doubt. There was another match that I'd seen that you had there in Japan. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes research can be wrong. Against Masashi Aoyagi in Hiroshima at the Sun Plaza on October 18th, 1991.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one as well?
He won. When I got into the wrestling business, Big Cat Ernie Ladd told me one thing. He said, Randy, don't ever become a jobber. You know, back then they was using a lot of African-American guys, you know, to be jobbers. And I'm not trying to be racist or anything, but they was trying to make the Japanese boys and the white boys look good. And so when I got my third wrestling match and they wanted me to be another job, I said, I can't do this. You know, I'm not the kind of I did it for Frank because he was a friend. I did it to Hashimoto because of Brad Riggins. I wasn't doing it for Vader. It wasn't gonna happen. In all these other matches, you know, they wanted me to lose, but they want me to kick somebody. Randy, we want you to kick their ass, and you know, just like Hashimoto. But in the last second, you're gonna make a mistake. You're gonna throw a punch, and he's gonna duck, and he's gonna kick you, and, you know, and he's gonna win the match. No, that wasn't, you know, that's not the reason why I got into wrestling, you know. And it was a dream. I met a lot of people. I had great times. I still miss Japan. I still got friends over there. And amazing, I still got fans. I still get a lot of email from people. Oh, I remember you in your Osaka Castle and all that kind. And that was 30-something years ago. And so the people, Japan is different, you know. Their wrestling is more different than ours. Because you got to remember, you know, they always been a little, you know, stiff, you know, with their wrestling. Where like Mexican wrestling is more acrobatics, you know, and all the flipping and stuff like Rey Mysterio. You know, in the United States, we was in between, you know. We were back then, we was more into the muscle guys, you know. We was more into the, you know, Billy Grahams and, you know, the more muscle, big stiff guys. So, it became different, and, I thank God for my time. But it just wasn't, at the time, wasn't for me. So when I was overseas in Japan training, I got a phone call that I got drafted into the World League, Football League. And so there was I said, well, how much I'm getting paid? And they told me, I said, well, I'll be home 2 days. So I left to Japan and flew back and went to Sacramento and started playing a professional World League.
Right. So between 1991 and 1999, before anything happened with WCW, did you wrestle at all between that time? No. Okay, cool. I'm glad that I filled that gap there. You played a bit of arena football.
Yeah. I played the World League, not arena football, World. It's called a World League. It's the Sacramento Gold Miners, and we turned into a Canadian football team. So I played, 3-4 years of that, and then I retired because I had my last knee injury. My last knee injury. So I retired and I moved back home, and I started my own gym. I was a personal trainer, and then I started doing motivational speaking. I was working with Fellowship Christian Athletes, the FBI, the DEA. They would send me all over the United States to do anti-drug and alcohol programs in schools. So, then one day I got a phone call from a childhood friend. Y'all know him as Master P. We call him Percy Miller. And he was like, man, I want you to come work for me. And, that was that. And that was in 1997, 98, something like that.
Right. Okay. So he was a childhood friend of yours.
Yeah. We went to college together.
Okay. Because I don't know. I read somewhere online that he's actually your cousin. So
no.
Okay. He's not your cousin.
No, he's not my cousin. Thank God. No. I don't want Master P to be my cousin.
So if you start, you join up with him when he's got his hip hop career going. What was it like being close to somebody that started to find that kind of success in that field, and what was it like witnessing that?
It was amazing because you got to remember, this guy turned $10,000 into $400 million, and I'm talking about we had so much money. I mean, I'm not bullshitting you. I used to walk around with $25,000 in my pocket, cash. I've driven every car you can name: Bentleys, Rolls Royce, Ferraris, you name it. I've driven it. We lived in mansions, California, Hollywood. We were doing movies, so we was around celebrities. We was going to music awards. I was meeting people like Tupac. I met Michael Jackson. I met Garth Brooks. It was limited. A lot of people, especially internet, think that I have animosity because I'm no longer with Master P. they think I have animosity towards him, and I really, really don't. I thank him for the life that he's given me. I thank him for feeding my family. He made Big Swoll popular. Randy Thornton was okay, well known, but he made a little skinny boy dream come through because Big Swoll went all over the world, And at one time, in our highest, mark in, No Limit, we had 10 million people in our fan club, because people I realized everybody was calling themselves No Limit Soldier, and I still remember the day when me and Percy had this talk about, being a professional wrestler, and he thought I was crazy.
Awesome. And that leads me to my next question. You have that conversation with him. How did the first contact with World Championship Wrestling take place?
Well, people got to stop believing the internet, because the internet don't tell the truth, okay? People, they're saying that WCW contacted Master P. That didn't happen. One day we was in LA, in Pasadena, California, and Rey Mysterio and Konnan was going on body and rowdy. And for people that don't know, that's one of Master P's biggest songs. I'm rowdy. And so I looked at P and I said, P, I said, hey man, I can get us some professional wrestling. Oh man, shut the fuck up. You know what you're talking about? I said, no, man, I'm serious. I can get us there. I can make some phone calls. So I called Brad Riggins, and Brad Riggins called Curt Hennig. Okay. And Curt Hennig is the one that set up the meeting. So I got a phone call back, and I was telling him, I said, look, I work for Master P. I like to do something with this, No Limit Soldier, rowdy gig. And they was excited. It was like, yeah. So they flew me to Atlanta, because that's the home base of WCW. So you got to remember this now. I want you to imagine in your head what I'm about to tell you. I'm a wrestling fan. So me and the lawyers for No Limit walk into a meeting. There's Kevin Nash, Dusty Rhodes, Macho Man Randy Savage, and Eric Bischoff. I'm like, what the fuck? And I had to play it cool, because you got to remember, I'm a big Dusty Rhodes fan. And when they told me that Dusty Rhodes was going to be my promoter, I'm going to shit on myself. Seriously. I was just like, and one thing people always ask me, do Randy Savage really talk like that? And the answer is yes, 24/7. Even when he's eating, he talks like, he said, I've never seen a person that was in character 24/7. Seriously. He talked like that all the time. Even when we went out to eat dinner, I was like, I know this guy's gonna get out of character, and eat dinner. But he stayed in character the whole time. And that's how we got hooked up with WCW. I made the contact. Brad Riggins made the contact. And Curt Hennig was a personal friend of ours already. And so that's when it came up to West Texas Rednecks. So, because they wanted something, because that was all Curt Hennig, or maybe, okay, because you're going to do rap, but we're going to do country music. And this is something that I've never told people. This is the first time I ever told people this, but I want to be a West Texas Redneck. I didn't want to be a No Limit Soldier.
That's fantastic. That is really fantastic. I would have loved to have met Randy Savage. I mean, your name's Randy too, so I could imagine him being like, yeah. Well, I guess there's gonna be two Randys around here.
Yeah. All day. You're right. You got it all day. That was him. And he was so nice. He was a very nice. Now I'm gonna tell you the the three jerks I met at WCW, because people always ask me, because the nicest person I ever met, in wrestling is oh my God, what's his name from Arkansas? Sid Vicious.
Oh, cool.
Man, Sid Vicious was the nicest person I met in my life. Sid Vicious would sit down and talk to me, Ray, this is how you do this is how you do that, this is how you set your spot. He sat down, he talked to me, and I haven't seen him in 30-something years, and I hope he see this. And I want to thank, Sid Vicious for being a friend. The three people I didn't like, I hated Hulk Hogan. He was such a prima donna asshole. He walked around a motherfucker like he was God, didn't speak to nobody, very arrogant. I didn't like Ric Flair. Ric Flair said something that I overheard personally that nobody can tell me, but I didn't hear. I heard him say it, and I won't repeat it, because he has his fan base, and I don't deal with people who make racist comments. So I'm not going to tell you what he said because he's a legend, and I was never a Booker T fan. Booker T had a problem with us being there. Instead of helping us, he was very distant. With me personally, he was very distant. I've tried to talk to him a couple of times, he wouldn't talk to me. His brother was real nice. Stevie Ray was real cool. But when you go to let me tell you something about wrestling business. The wrestling business is one of the most cutthroat business I've ever been in my life, because these guys, when you go to a company and these guys think you're going to take some of their money, they turn on you, and it's Brad Armstrong always told me, don't trust these motherfuckers, because we got into the business. Like I said, I got into the business to have fun, to have a good time, and it was just so cutthroat. The Steiner brothers, they took they took me under their wing, and they used to Rick and Scott, because we worked together in New Japan, so I already knew them, So it was WCW was fun. I made great friends, and 30 years later, people still know who Big Swoll is. I find amazing. We made history, bringing No Limit to WCW, and it was sad the way it ended, though. So.
Of course, and as you were just alluding to, the cutthroat aspect of the wrestling business, I would imagine you coming in, you're tight with Master P. He's got this great deal going on for himself there, which I guess would mean that you were going to be getting a great deal too. Did you feel that heat from guys in the locker room that you're coming in as a new guy with this opportunity, with this money? And I also want to ask, did any of the guys there that were ex-football players, were they cool with you because they knew that you're an ex-football player too?
Well, we didn't have any, there was no ex-football players there, at WCW. I can remember. Oh, Goldberg, excuse me,
I was imagining Goldberg would be cool with you. That's just my assumption, though.
We were teammates. We played together. Yeah, me and Bill been knowing each other ever since we played in because he was on the same team as me in the World League in Canada.
So
I've been knowing Bill for a long time, but Bill was way up here at that time. He was the word got around how much money I was making, okay? And I got a lot of animosity. I had a lot of hate because I don't want to sound arrogant when I say this, okay? But I was making more money than a lot of superstars, and that's because they wanted the No Limit Soldiers. I had in my contract, I flew first class, I didn't ride coach. I rode first class. I had in my contract, I stayed in a suite. I didn't stay in a room. I stayed in a suite. And don't be mad at me because I had a good agent, and a lot of guys were mad about that. And, oh, well, how much he's making? Oh, blah, blah. And the word got out. And, I was like, fuck, I'm an athlete. I know how to negotiate. This is not my first negotiation. So, a lot of guys got mad when they found out how much money I was making. And I was making more than a lot of superstars.
Yeah, but they can be mad all they want. It's if they were in the same position, they would do the exact same thing. So they can shut up right then and there.
Well, you're not talking about a lot of educated people, okay? So, a lot of wrestlers are not educated. So, I miss Brad Armstrong so much, because we used to talk all the time. I miss him. He was a brother, and I miss him so much. I miss Chase, my life wouldn't have ever happened if it wasn't for Curt Hennig with the West Texas Rednecks. I love Curt Hennig. Bobby Duncan Jr., a lot of people don't know we played against each other in college. So we already knew each other. He played football at the University of Texas, not that, his daddy was, Bobby Duncan, so, and, the Wyndham brothers, a lot of people know their dad is Blackjack Mulligan, and so all those guys, I want to tell them thank you for making my dream come through, because it's like I told you earlier, I want to be a West Texas Redneck because they was having so much fucking fun. Seriously, they were doing videos, doing concerts, rap is crap. They was having a ball, and I'm like, man, I want to be with them. Fuck this no limit shit. I want to go to the West Texas Redneck. They were having fun, and we wasn't. Where it turned out was we were the baby face. And then before Bass at the Beach, we became the heels. People were turning on us. And but that's another story that, I can tell you about. But that, the moment something that happened, well, a lot of people just don't know. And this is the honest God truth, but, Master P abandoned the No Limit Soldiers. He walked out on us. And he walked out on me because I was listening to Dusty Rhodes and I wasn't listening to him. And I'm not trying to put Master P down, I'm just telling the truth. Because we did Bass at the Beach and he didn't show up for pay-per-view. And, because WCW had big plans for us. They wanted to send us to Japan, do some work over there because hip hop was real big.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, sorry for that little break in transmission there. We had a bit of technical difficulties on my end, definitely not Swoll's end. Everything's okay with him. It's me that's at fault. But bro, where we were at, we were talking about, obviously, your time in WCW with the No Limit Soldiers. I wanted to ask you as we move forward, the initial idea of the No Limit Soldiers and who was going to be a member. Do you know how that process went? How it was decided that you'd have Chase and Brad and 4x4 part of the group as well?
Well, I did that. That was my choice. It wasn't nobody else's choice but mine. And when we sat in the meeting, we already know we had Konnan and Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
They was already on. So I go, we at the meeting and I tell them that I want New Jack,
Wow.
And they all looked at each other and said, fuck no, we can't do it. And I was like, why? Because New Jack would have been a perfect fit,
Definitely.
And they say he's too much of a liability. He's hurting too many people and he's off hinges. And like I said, well, y'all told me who I can have, and I want New Jack. And they told me no. They said, well, we got somebody that we think that'll fit in perfect with you, Brad Armstrong, and I already knew who Brad Armstrong was. And I was like, yeah, I could do Brad. And so I was at the power plant training and I seen Chase Tatum, and I told myself, I want this kid Chase. And so they gave me Chase, and 4x4 was brought to No Limit through our agency because he was working for Mike Tyson.
Yeah. He
was Mike Tyson's bodyguard. And so we seen how big his fucking ass was. We was like, fuck, hell yeah. So, and so that was the team. But like I said, the person I originally wanted, they wouldn't give him to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, New Jack looked the part, especially because he used to wear the camo as well. And I was lucky enough to interview him last year. So may he rest in peace. But
Yeah,
fantastic decision there, bro. Like a great, great idea. It's unfortunate that WCW didn't go through with it because who knows what would have come of it if New Jack was on board.
yeah. It'll get crazy.
Absolutely. And one segment I wanted to bring up was when Curt Hennig came out, he had a birthday present for Masterpiece brother, and there was the cowboy hat. As a fan, when I watched this, he gave this birthday present. The hat gets stomped on. He gets a cake thrown in his face. Do you think that this was the best way to start the angle? Because I felt a little bit bad for Curt.
It was his idea. It wasn't my idea. It was Curt's idea.
Of course it was.
Because you gotta remember, we in the Louisiana Superdome when this happened.
Yeah.
And we from New Orleans. So the Superdome was packed. I mean, maxed out. And Curt came to me and said, Swoll, I got this idea. I said, what? You're gonna throw the cake in my face? You're gonna stump the hat? You're gonna blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people was mad. And Curt was telling people, it wasn't Swoll, it was me. I'm the one made that up. Right. It was all Curt Hennig. It wasn't my idea. It was Curt Hennig's idea.
Well, it certainly was a segment.
But he was a team player. You know, that was just Curt Hennig. You know, he took one for the team.
Definitely. And what I wanted to do here, Swoll, at this time was not play word association, but I want to mention each member of the No Limit Soldiers. And if you could tell me like a nice story about them or how you feel about them, please, the floor is yours. The first person I want to bring up, obviously, you've already mentioned him, your good friend, Brad Armstrong. Please tell me about him.
Brad Armstrong was a real gentleman. For people who don't know, his family's been in wrestling for years. You know,
got the Road Dog shirt on.
Yeah, you know, and come from a great family, great friend. Brad is one of the reasons I became a sleep advocate, you know, for sleep apnea, because, you know, he died in his sleep on his couch. And we talked like 2-3 days before he died. Great friend, always willing to do anything, you know. We got this, Swoll, we're going to do this, you know. Come on, Swoll, we're going to, you know. That was him, you know. This a great guy, you know. I miss him very much. And, you know, I've tried to contact his brother, Road Dog, but I've been very unsuccessful because I had his mother's phone number, but I lost it, you know. So, you know, I haven't been able to keep in contact with them.
I understand. Well, thank you for sharing that. The next guy I want to bring up is Konnan.
Konnan was kind of off, you know. Great guy, very competitive. He knows the business very, very well. He's having some health issues right now. Wish him the best of luck. He said something negative about me I didn't like, but, you know, I still love him, you know. You know, great, just a great showman, you know, great champion, you know, and it wasn't for him, it would never be no Limit Soldier because he was rowdy and about it, you know, so he started it.
Absolutely. Rey Mysterio Jr.
The best wrestler to ever perform in wrestling. The best. Rey Mysterio can do things that nobody else can ever do. I'm gonna tell you a story. I had an audition for WWE, and they called me up. They wanted me to audition for them, and then I got a phone call from a very personal friend who I won't tell. Said, "Randy, they're not gonna sign you. You're wasting your time. They're not gonna sign you." But they had a guy named Snow, John Snow or something was their booking agent or talent agent, something like that. I forgot the guy's name, but his name was Snow. He said, "Randy, they're not gonna sign you. You know, they have no interest in you." And so I remember going there. When I heard that, all the edges went out of me, you know. So I went in there to, you know, to audition. which I thought I didn't need to audition, you know, because I already had a name. They blew me out on purpose. And Ray was cheering me on. Come on, Swoll. Swoll, come on, Swoll, come on. And he seen what they was doing. And I just stopped. You know, like, I can't do this. You know, a true friend. I'm still one of his fans. Me personally, I think he's way too much into the business. I think he should just retire, you know, and it's because he's getting injured a lot, you know.
Yeah.
I'm still a fan of his. I still watch his matches. We haven't talked in years, but in my book, one of the best wrestlers ever in professional wrestling.
Good call, bro. Two more guys to bring up. Chase Tatum.
Asshole. Complete asshole. Chase was kind of weird, you know. He in middle of the No Limit Soldiers, you start knowing, you start seeing he kept losing a bunch of matches, right? We turned on him because he turned on us. He was very unselfish what he was doing. So there's a match where he wrestling one of Steiner brothers, not Scott, but the other brother. And I'll never forget, he told me, he said, man, he's talking trash about you and you giving this guy a chance. And he said, man, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of him. And you can look it up. It's a match between Rick Steiner and Chase Tatum. And he's literally hitting him for real, seriously. I mean, and he did that favor, you know, for me, because like you said, you know, you gave this guy opportunity, you know, you made him money, you know, and he's talking shit about you. I still love him, though. May he rest in peace, you know, and great body. I'm talking about the guy was built like a god.
Definitely.
But, you know, he turned on me, you know, so much I can say.
And the last guy, of course, 4x4.
The man. 4x4 is the nicest guy that ever walked this earth. Walked this earth. If people out there want to follow him, look under Teddy the Tank. That's what he goes by, Teddy the Tank. Nice guy. The biggest arms I've ever seen on a human. After he left us, he joined the Harlem Heat, which I was very excited. You know, he worked with, you know, Booker T and Ray, and he had a great run. He does a lot of indie tours in New York, but he's not the same 4x4 no more. He's like 225 pounds now.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, you wouldn't even recognize him. He's little and ripped, you know. He's lost like 200 something pounds, and I seen a video of him, and I was just like, what the hell, you know? And super nice guy, super. And the last time I seen Teddy, we call him Teddy. The last time I seen him, he was working for Missy Elliott. He was Missy Elliott's personal bodyguard. So, and that was the last time I ever seen him. But we talk all the time.
Oh, that's cool, bro. That's cool. The next question I had was, what did you think of the song Rap is Crap?
Let me tell you something. I like the song. I didn't like Who to You. Okay? Who to You was trash to me. I didn't like the song, and I still don't like it to this day. Rap is Crap was funny. I played it a while ago. I love country music, you know, and I was singing every word from word, and I was like, you know, and I loved it, you know. I mean, it was a great gimmick. And I remember we did a wrestling match in, I think, Tennessee or Kentucky, can't remember. Man, they was throwing batteries at us at the No Limit Soldier. They hated us, you know. And, you know, I thought it would have been a good gimmick if I'd have went to, you know, to West Texas Rednecks, you know, Big Swoll, you know, because like I said, I didn't like Hootie Who. Like I said, we was abandoned by Master P, you know. I wasn't having fun because he was trying to tell Dusty Rhodes how to promote us. And this is not a music industry. It's not the rap industry. This is a wrestling industry. And yes, I was listening to Dusty Rhodes more than I was listening to him. I won't tell a lie.
Well, that's somebody that you should listen to if you're in the wrestling industry, that's for sure. And we'll get to some more talk about Master P and the Soldiers in a minute. I wanted to ask about your in-ring debut in WCW because you wrestled against two people that I consider friends now. I've interviewed both of them. Mean Mike and Tough Tom from Disorderly Conduct in Lafayette, Louisiana on June 24th, 1999, teaming with BA. How was your in-ring debut there on Thunder?
Well, that wasn't our ring debut. Our ring debut was in Washington, D.C. Okay. When I jumped out of the stands and jumped into the ring, and Rey Mysterio and Konnan was wrestling.
Of course.
What's the guy with the bone outfit? He hit all the bones.
Parker.
Yeah, he's wrestling them. And so, which I still think is the most gangsters thing I've ever seen in my life. But I jumped, we was in Washington, D.C., and I jumped over the rail and jumped into the ring and start throwing forearms, which I think was just gangster. But the first time that me and BA wrestled together was in Lafayette. That was just me and him. And that was one of, Brad took care of me, and those guys were like, hey man, look, we're going to get you over. Don't worry about it. We're going to call it spots, because we already had the spots. Great people, WCW had a lot of hard workers. Yeah. They had guys that, that really loved the business. And it's sad that WWE just, to me, destroyed the wrestling industry. It really did, because those guys had two wrestling companies that they could compete. Now one is, when you have something that you have full control over, the people in the business don't have no say so. So that was, that was the first match me and Brad Armstrong did, but together. But our debut was in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Yeah, no, I've talked to Mean Mike from Disorderly Conduct pretty much every day now since I interviewed him, and he had nothing but very positive things to say about you and working with you. And obviously, everyone loves Brad. Everyone loves Brad.
The next time, tell him to say hi for me, please.
I will. Actually, I was just talking to him during my hiatus with that interview. He had messaged me asking how things were going because I just bought a house. So man, I'll let him know.
Tell him I said thank you very much, and thank you for being a friend.
Excellent, bro. I'm going to be bringing up a bunch of your matches, and I wanted to ask about this one here. July 8th, 1999, Thunder, Birmingham, Alabama. It's a little tune-up before Bash at the Beach. It's the No Limit Soldiers of B.A. Swoll and Chase Tatum. You face Dave Taylor, Fit Finley, and Steven Regal. How did that go? Because I know when Steven Regal wrestled Goldberg back when Goldberg was starting out, it was a bit tough for Goldberg. Now, you've been out a bit of wrestling for a while. You're fresh back into WCW. How was it working with these guys?
Regal was one of the best technicians ever in history. Those guys were solid. Those guys were great technicians. All three of them were great wrestlers. And Regal was, sitting down talking to him. That's all he wanted to talk about was the snakes and lizards, because he's real big into reptiles, And we sitting down talking about all the snakes and his lizards and his turtles. And I'm like, oh, Swoll, don't worry. I got you, man. I got you, man. You're gonna do good, you're gonna do good. And but it was a great match. Some matches I remember so well because I like the fans to know that I have a brain disease called white matter brain disease. So I don't remember a lot of stuff, and I apologize. There's something that a lot of people don't know about me, but You know, I have a brain disease and my memory's not good as it used to be. So I do apologize. I remember some things and some things I don't remember. So I want to apologize for it.
That's totally fine. I've had guys that don't have that disease that have had worse memories than you on the show. I promise you. So it's totally fine. Okay, I've got to bring it up, and because you tell me about how you got to fulfill these dreams, you know, and these dreams that you had when you were little. As you said in high school, you said you wanted to be a wrestler and you want to be a football player. July 11th, 1999, Bash at the Beach. No Limit Soldiers, West Texas Rednecks. You're on pay-per-view, my friend. Holy shit. This must have been a thrill. What was it like being on and Bash at the Beach of all shows as well? How was it? How did it feel? That must have been fantastic.
It was the high point of my life and the low point of my life because 2 weeks before, I think it was 2 weeks before, a week before Bash at the Beach, I had a wrestling match in Atlanta. I'm not sure, Atlanta somewhere. And Dusty Rhodes came to me and said, "Hey, Randy, look, we got a problem." He said, "You all are turning to the hills real fast. And, you know, Eric Bischoff told me to come talk to you, but we have to do something to make the people hate the West Texas Rednecks." He said, "So you're going to do a wrestling match and they're going to jump you, you know? And you're going to lose the match. You know, they're going to beat the shit out of you, you know, but they're going to cheat." You know, I said, "Okay, cool." And so we did the wrestling match and it went great. It went super good. Because you got to remember, I'm winning Bash at the Beach. I'm hyped, you know? So I get to New Orleans, I go to the bank, and the banker, his name was Swoll Bob, he said, "Man, you got a phone call." So I get the phone call, and it's Master P. "Motherfucker, who the fuck you think you are? Motherfucker, son, we don't fucking lose. Motherfucker, blah, 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 blah." I was like, "Hey," you know? So when I went to explain what happened, he hung up the phone in my face, you know? And the one last thing he told me, "Motherfucker, since you want to do what fucking Dusty Rhodes wants you to do, fuck you and fuck Bash at the Beach." So we go to Bash at the Beach, you know? They're asking me, "Where's Master P?" Because, you know, we show up to the arena at 2:00 to go through, you know, rehearsal and stuff, you know? So 2:00 comes, we sitting there, no Master P. 3:00, no Master P. So I'm calling him, you know? He's not answering his phone. The bodyguard's not answering their phone. Everybody's ignoring me. So around 4:00, it's like, "Hey, man, we got to change everything," you know? So I went up to Rey Mysterio. I said, "Ray, how about we end it? I put you on my shoulders and we just do a Jesus Christ cross and you just come down." And Curt Hennig loved it. He was like, "What?" I said, "Man, he's going to at least be, you know, I'm 6'6". He's going to at least be, you know, 10 feet in the air. And he's going to come down, you know. So we had to change it. And afterwards, I never forget, I started doing, you know, me and Brad Armstrong was still, you know, doing stuff together. This is me and him. So me and 4x4 start escorting Dennis Rodman into the ring. You know, we did a couple of shows with his escorts. And one day they called me and said, "We just man on No Limit Soldiers," you know, and he was like, "Swoll, we like you." And he's like, "Your boss is just a dick," you know, for what he did. And he said, it's like, "Well, we're going to still send you to shows, you know, and you're going to go backstage. We're going to still pay you for a year." So for 6 months, you know, I was getting like, you know, 820 G's a month just to sit backstage, you know, just to sit. I'll be backstage just watching the shows, you know, and they paid me. And, you know, and Eric Bischoff, I don't care, nobody says, Eric Bischoff is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He's straightforward. He's not going to lie to you, you know. And I remember one time I was talking to Eric Bischoff, and you can ask him, I kept saying, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir. And he was like, Swoll, stop calling me sir. I'm like, no, sir, it's out of respect, you know?
Yeah.
It's out of respect. And Eric Bischoff, you know, great boss, he said something about the No Limit Soldiers on one of his podcasts.
Yep.
And he was talking about Swoll. And he told me that how professional I was, and I had talent, you know, and stuff like that. And so, you know, it's Best at the Beach, you know, I mean, it was great, but, you know, everything happens for a reason, you know. I told someone a while ago, I think God, my wrestling career was cut short, you know. Now as a 57-year-old man, I'm thankful because so many of my friends are dying, you know. So many wrestlers are dying, and I have a picture in my house of me, Brad, and Chase Armstrong, you know. And for many, many years, I won't look at that picture because it's hard to look at a picture where you're the only one still alive, you know. I look at pictures of Curt Hennig in the West Texas Rednecks. You know, you look at 8 guys, you know, and out of 8 guys, 4 of them are dead. You know, and that's too many. It's way too many. People, I'm happy people are wrestling fans, but there's a side of wrestling people just don't know about. You know, it's very dark. A lot of guys turn to drugs, alcohol, depression, especially when the career is over with. I went to a wrestling match, an indie show here in New Orleans a couple of years ago. And man, I seen Pochop Cash wrestling. This guy was in his 70s. His 70s. It was the saddest thing I've seen in my life. I talked to Kamala, you know, Uganda Giant. He lives in Mississippi, not far from me. And I went to visit him one time. And this one, he had both his legs amputated, you know, and he was selling gospel music and signing autographs, you know. And he told me, he said, man, WWE don't do anything for me, you know, nothing for him. And this guy was a star, you know. You know, he was. You don't get no bigger than Uganda Giant. You know, this guy was major. And to sit there and talk to him, you know, and the guy's broke, you know, has no legs, you know. You look at stuff from, you know, different aspect. And let me tell you something, I'm not trying to turn your fans off from wrestling. I'm just telling the truth, you know. A friend asked me the other day, he said, oh, Big Swoll, you know, you a gangster, you this and that. I had to stop him. No, man, look, I'm not a gangster. I've never been a drug dealer, you know, none of that. You know, yes, I carry guns. Yes, I'm from the hood, you know, but that's far as it go. You know, I like to read. I like to write. I write children's books and all this, because I want people to know the real reason, you know, behind me, because I want your fans and my fans to know that I'm more than just an athlete. You know, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a friend, and I'm an advocate for my community. And wrestling got me there because I'm not kidding you. Every time I get a message from a No Limit fan, I answer them back. Seriously. I don't care how, sometimes it might be 50 a day, 100 a day. I answer everybody back. Thank you very much, soldier. Just like with me and you, you know. You contacted me, I contact you back. And I do that with everybody. And I want to thank everybody for supporting the No Limit Soldiers. You know, even though Master P, we don't even talk no more. We haven't talked since Bass at the Beach. You know, it still was a great moment. You know, it really was.
Absolutely, bro. Well, thank you for sharing all that. It's you know, everyone remembers the No Limit Soldiers from WCW, and that's why I wanted you on the show. And we've had such a great conversation so far, and I've still got a few more questions.
Sure.
Okay, so you told me about after Bash at the Beach or during Bash at the Beach that you were told that this thing's probably going to end up being disbanded. That there were a few weeks where you and Brad still worked on TV. I know you worked with the Wyndham brothers as well as Lenny and Lodi, and also Hugh Morris and Jerry Flynn in Casper, Wyoming on August 17th. And then August 31st, 1999 in Binghamton, New York, the first family of Brian Knobbs, Hugh Morris, and Jerry Flynn defeat yourself 4x4 and Brad. And this appeared to be the last match of the No Limit Soldiers.
Yeah.
Did you know going into that match that this was the last match?
Yeah, because we were going to a lot of shows and weren't being used. So it was times where we just for a whole week, they'll fly me to all these shows, and we were just sitting backstage. This is the matches tonight. We did some what they call blackout matches, where it's not televised. This is going to do this. So there's some matches, we was doing, just to. So I mean, I kind of seen the writing on the wall, and I'm not because what they did, they were right, and I just, I want to be part of West Texas Redneck, and I wish they'd have took me on. It'd have been a better storyline.
That would have been really cool if they managed to get you to turn on the rap and join the country. That would have been hilarious.
And plus, people, this is something a lot of people don't know. In real life, I am a cowboy. I have horses. I'm not kidding you. I have a farm. I have horses. I got dogs. I wear cowboy hats. I wear cowboy boots. And right now, rap is really crap. Right now.
That's great to hear.
But we kind of knew that it was coming, but because they put so much money into us, they gave, they gave Percy $250,000, This to, then they let him promote his music. That's priceless. He did the Who to Who, which I think is still one of the crappiest songs I've ever heard in my life. I hate that. Every time I hear that fucking song, I could throw a fucking chair through the fucking wall. I hate that Who to Who song. And but they were, on WCW was moving forward. My ex-boss fucked that up. So, but I kind of knew it was coming to the end after that. Because like I said, New Jersey was the last show that we did.
Yeah, and still, despite the short run that storyline was, everyone remembers it. Everyone remembers you. And there's a time after this where you decide to retire from wrestling. What made you want to retire?
I didn't like the business aspect of it.
Yeah.
It was very cutthroat. I had something more, in my life than being a professional wrestler. It was a dream, and the dream came through. And I became a motivational speaker, and I gave my life to Christ. And I got saved. I was doing a lot of speaking engagements, traveling around the world, doing motivational speaking. And I just wanted something better in my life, And like I said, I don't watch wrestling. My daughter watches it, and she knows, all the people. I can't believe that Bill is still wrestling. Right now, it's crazy to me that Goldberg is still wrestling.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio is still wrestling, which I think is crazy. I seen an article about the Undertaker. Watch how this guy walks now. It's insane to me. It's just, when you play pro football, we have 18, 19 games, and we off the rest of the season. In the wrestling industry, there is no off season.
That's it, yeah.
You wrestle, and when you hurt, they send your ass home. And when you heal, you bring your ass back on the road again. If you don't, they'll get somebody else.
That's it. And I've only got a couple more questions, bro. And I will ask you about what you're up to these days. But I wanted to bring up Curt Hennig again, because I know he was quite the trickster. He was quite the ribber. Did he ever play a joke on you or anyone that you were close with? I love hearing these stories because he was the master.
One day he came to the wrestling school, and he came there with a big afro. What's up, Swoll? What's happening, my brother? We in the middle of Plymouth, Minnesota, which is, a white community, He pulls up in his car with his big afro wig. What's happening, dog? You heard me? And boy, I was laughing. And we laughed. Let me tell you a story myself, since I'm thinking about it, about what's his name? Jesse the Body Ventura, Because, he went, he used to come to the Rascals, because he was the AWA. When I got out of wrestling school, this is something that a lot of people don't know. We was trying to come up with a name for me, a gimmick. And I never forget, Jesse said, Randy, I got the right name for you, man. It's going to make you a millionaire, but you got to want to do it. I said, what, Jesse? We're going to call you the Big Bad Buckwheat. I'm like, what? We're going to call you the Big Bad Buckwheat. You're going to come out and say, here I is, and you're going to act like Buckwheat, from the Little Rascal. And I looked at Jesse, I said, are you fucking kidding me? I said, there's no way no way I'll do that gimmick. Man, look, you don't make money or not? And Kurt's over there laughing. Curt is laughing his ass off. Curt, Big Bad Buckwheat. Oh my God. And he's just laughing. And Curt was like, man, I'm glad you didn't take that name, man. I said, yeah, I wasn't calling myself no Big Bad Buckwheat. But that was Curt Hennig. But all those guys were like that. Wayne Bloom, they always a good group of guys, especially in that Minnesota area, because like Brock Lesnar, he's from that area, too, And matter of fact, Brock Lesnar is the last person that Brad ever trained, which is real funny.
Absolutely, yeah. There must be something in the water there in Minnesota, considering the Road Warriors and Nikita Koloff, etc. Okay, so another question I had was, over the years since you finished up with WCW, have you had the chance to catch up with anybody from WCW over the years?
No.
Not really at all?
No. When I walked away, I walked away. No, 4x4. That's it, and Rey Mysterio is so busy with his son, no, I haven't. No.
That's cool, bro. That's cool. In 2001, what did you think when you heard that WCW was bought by the World Wrestling Federation?
I was there in the office. WWE brought me out of my contract. I had some months remaining on my contract.
Right.
And they brought me out. So that was it. When they told me that it was brought out, it was shocked to everybody. Because I was in Atlanta, when we got the news. I was at the what's called a power plant.
Yeah.
I was there, and they brought me out, my contract. It was sad, because I think right now, if WCW would still be existing, I think you'll be seeing a different WWE right now. Because right
I
now,
agree.
it's, I tried to watch it one day, and it looks more like a soft porn, with the girls damn near naked. I've never seen so many female wrestlers, on a show. And, like I said, it looks like soft porn to me, A lot of guys are acrobats. They're not wrestlers, So, but that's the way they want to go. I wish them the best. People love it. And hey, if they love it, I like it.
Fair enough, bro. And before I finish, I want to ask you a little bit about what you're passionate about these days. I know you're very big into mental health and things like that. Please talk a little bit about that and what you're doing with yourself right now.
Well, I started doing mental health issues because so many of my friends in professional wrestling, in professional football, were having mental issues. People don't know that, about professional wrestlers. When the career is over, they fall into a deep depression and they turn to alcohol and drugs. A lot of guys can't keep a relationship, with their wives and with their family. And so I got to be, and I tell my story. Right now, we're shooting a documentary about me and my battle, with depression, and we're shooting it right now as we speak. And right now, with the age between 6 and 18, mental health issues up 65%, with our young people. So I just finished my children's book, and it's about me as a little boy fighting depression. And it's also a coloring book. So, we're doing that, but I'm also big into sleep apnea. People like, Brad Armstrong and Chase Tatum both died in their sleep. And a lot of professional wrestlers are having sleep apnea. They have heart disease. And just like, what's the guy's name? Reggie White, who everybody knows is a Hall of Fame football player. He died of sleep apnea with a sleep apnea machine right next to his bed. So sleep apnea and mental health issues go hand in hand, because when you have mental health issues, the last thing you do is sleep, and when you get lack of sleep, it causes depression, mood swings, and so we're trying to educate the public about it. And for a lot of people who don't know, in the last 2 years, I've had 2 heart attacks. I've had open heart surgery, and right now I'm on a heart transplant list. So, people see me all the time. They see me with a smile, but they don't understand what I'm going through. And I don't know if you can see it, but I have a machine. I'm connected to a heart machine 24/7. And the sad thing at night, my family has to plug me into a wall, And so there's a side of professional wrestling that people just don't want to talk about. But not only just wrestling, football players are dying, especially a lot of bodybuilders. A lot of bodybuilders are dying, old bodybuilders, young, people in CrossFit. Sleep apnea and mental health is real. And it plays a major, major part, of being a retired athlete. But not just athlete, we're talking about everyday people, especially with COVID, people losing their jobs, they can't work, they can't have relationships, they can't do this, kids can't go to school, kids can't make friends, So, mental health issue is a major, 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 major problem. And just like, with sleep apnea, a lot of people not sleeping because they ain't doing nothing. They're not working, they're not going to school, they can't sleep at night, they're up all night, So, I want to tell you, you and your fans, if you have a mental health issues, please get help. It's okay to get help. I think it's crazy when you don't get help, and you need it. And people say, well, how can you tell if somebody has, mental issues? Well, things change. They don't act the same. They mood swings. They don't sleep. They don't do things like if a person likes to go fishing, they don't fish no more. They don't work out anymore. It's certain signs, that people see about mental health issues that's there. Someone asked me a while ago, a lady, her husband's a retired, I'm not gonna say his name, it's a retired wrestler. And she seen me talk about sleep apnea. And she said, yeah, he snores all night, he gasps for air, he stops breathing, he's moody all day. That's sleep apnea, And for a lot of people, we know, to hear that noise, that's your tongue blocking the airway. It's called a tether tongue. So, I know we're talking about wrestling, and but to your fans, if you know someone that need help for mental health issues, sleep apnea, please get them help. Sorry to go off.
No, that's fine, because it's funny that you mentioned all of that, because I first realized that I had depression when I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
Things were different in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't see it, but I have real bad dark rings under my eyes because I have sleep apnea.
You have a sleep machine?
I don't have one, no. I probably should
Get
have one. I probably
Get
should have
one,
one.
please. And look, if you need help, I know the people I can hook you up with. Best Sleep Magazine, Julia Ward is a sleep apnea expert, and we work hand to hand. And like I said, Best Sleep Magazine. Let me tell you something. Sleep apnea is killing a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to sleep and they're not waking up. And so please get help. Please. And like I said, I can hook you up with some people that can help you out.
Well, thanks, bro. Yeah, my girlfriend's been telling me for a long time that I snore really badly at night. It's got a little bit better recently, but I can tell when I look in the mirror that I've got these dark rings under my eyes, these bags under my eyes. I'm not sleeping properly. So,
well, you know what? As I watch you talk, you have a tie tongue. You have a tie tongue. I'm watching your tongue, and you have tethered tongue, and I can watch the way you're talking. And for people who know about tethered tongue, it's when you have a lazy tongue, and I can tell where you talk. And what happens when you go to sleep at night, and you put your head down, your tongue rolls into the back of your throat, and it closes your airway, and that's what's causing you to snore, and that's what's causing you, to have it's called obstructive airway. And like I said, a lot of professional wrestlers have it because of the muscles in our neck. A lot of bodybuilders. So, and stop thinking that it's a fat person issue, because it's not. Back in the day, when a lot of babies were dying, it was called a crib death. Infants were dying. But what it was that when a baby is born, his tongue is not strong enough, and developed. And what the mother would do is lay the child down on his back, and the tongue would roll in the back of the throat, cuts all the oxygen, and when they wake up, the baby be dead. So it's a very serious problem. Please get help.
I will. Now that you've mentioned all that, now I'm aware of just how serious it is, and I was not before. But bro, I better get to our final segment of the show here. Thank you for sharing all that. I already know now, like I've learned something. So I hope other people out there, I hope you've learned something as well. So please get help if you do need help. But Swoll, it's time for our final segment of the show. It's called 5 Second Frenzy. Apparently, with the rules of the show, you have 5 seconds to answer each question. It doesn't matter, though. I just came up with the name of the show over 100 episodes ago, and it doesn't matter if you break the 5-second rule. It's okay. But the first question is, who is your favorite wrestler of all time?
Big Cat in the Lab.
Fantastic choice. Over the years, who would you say was your favorite opponent?
Curt Hennig.
Another good choice. If you could pick one match in your time in professional wrestling to be your favorite match to compete in, which one was it?
My dream match happened.
One that happened.
The West Texas Rednecks bass at the beach.
Excellent choice. Getting away from wrestling now, bro. Favorite book?
The Shack.
Nice. Favorite TV show?
All in the Family.
Very good. Favorite film?
Hold on. Imitation of Life.
Excellent, excellent. Favorite musical artist?
Midnight Oil.
Midnight Oil? Are you serious? No.
How can
No.
we dance when the world keeps turning?
I'm putting this segment on hold right now. Midnight Oil from Australia is your favorite. Are you kidding? Oh my God, I love Midnight Oil. That was the first ever album that I had. I got my mum when she went food shopping to buy me Midnight Oil Greatest Hits. I listened to it every night before I went to bed when I was 12 years old.
I still listen to the music. I like to see the, especially when they performed at the Olympics.
Yes.
I think there was the best. You know, when you heard that bang, 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 and everybody's jumping, I lost it. You know, I'm sitting at home, me and my dog, we jamming time, you know. So yeah, Midnight Oil.
Oh, I love it. Everyone out there, I know there's probably a lot of Americans out there watching this that don't know who Midnight Oil are. Check them out. They're fantastic. Okay, let's get over this now. But I can't believe that you said Midnight Oil. That you've made my day. Okay, getting away from the arts now, bro. Favorite food?
Crawfish.
Nice. Favorite place to eat on the road?
McDonald's.
Very nice. 3 more to go. I don't know if you're much of a drinker. This one's supposed to be favorite alcoholic beverage, but if you don't drink, just your favorite beverage in general.
Milk.
Milk, very nice, very nice. Second last one here, bro. It's the naughtiest one of 5 Second Frenzy. It's favorite female body part. You see a good-looking lady. Where does Swoll's eyes lead to first?
I love calves.
Calves, really? You say calves, I say calves.
I'm a leg man.
Leg man, very good. I dig that. Okay. And the last one here, sir. Favorite curse word?
Fuck.
If this were Family Feud, that will be the #1 answer on this show. It's always fuck. Swoll, I have to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me here today. My face hurts. It hurts a lot, but my face hurts from smiling so much, and even more so because you said Midnight Oil is your favorite band. Thank you so much for having the time and giving me the time to talk to me today, teaching me a little bit about sleep apnea, teaching me about your time in pro wrestling and in football. I remember you from back in the day. I remember when I was 12 years old watching WCW. I was a fan of the No Limit Soldiers and the West Texas Rednecks. It is huge for someone to say, I live in the most isolated city in the world, all the way from New Orleans to here. You got a fan right here. So you've reached to the most isolated city in the world, my friend. Thank you. And I hope you are very proud of what you've accomplished in your life.
Yes. And I want to tell all your friends and your fans, remember, mental health is real. Sleep apnea is real. Please get help. You know, life is too golden. We're losing too many people from a cause that can be cured. And I'm telling you, get help for sleep apnea. I promise you, it'll make you a different person when you get a good night's sleep.
Excellent, Randy. Well, thank you so much for your time on the show. Really appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you. You'll be blessed, my brother.
Absolutely. You as well, my friend. And thank you all out there for watching the Insider's Edge podcast here on the WZWA Network. I'm Karlifornia alongside my new friend, Midnight Oil fan himself, Swoll. And we will see you down the road. Thank you.